Hi everyone, so a bit of an update here on the whole uquiz situation. As it turns out, I've kind of been experimenting with the format a bit, and it turns out that I don't do well with scripting uquizzes, that kind of thing. I tried it before, but I don't know, it seemed to be kind of just another roadblock, another thing to do in the whole list of things to do to make these videos. It didn't seem to make them any better, it didn't seem to make them any faster, and so I haven't really seen any good reason to use them. And so I'm gonna be trying making them just off the cuff again. If this goes well, if these go well, I might be able to get them out quote unquote quickly. They're still gonna be a lot slower than let's plays, that kind of thing, but theoretically they should be a lot faster than they have been. So enough preparation. Today's uquiz is, what kind of guy are you? Answer some questions and find out what type of guy are you. Guy you are. The old switcheroo there at the end by Big Bulbasaur. As I said, I'm going to the semi-blind, so we'll see. I don't know where I'm going with that. Going into the semi-blind, that's how it is. Question 1, what's the most important part of masculinity? First option is acts of great physical and mental fortitude. So, that, on the one hand, that doesn't really describe me at all. I am both incredibly weak and short-minded. I didn't want to say weak-minded because I feel like that repetition kind of sounds bad, but I didn't come up with a good alternative, which is a nice demonstration of how bad my brain is. Unfortitudified my mental state, maybe. Well, that being said, that doesn't mean it's not an important part of masculinity just because I can't do it. I can't do, most important parts of masculinity behavior. Also, forts are cool in general, so that's got a whole good vibe to it. I kind of would like to lean into if I could. Second option is cultivating a very specific, powerful aura. Leaning into the previous option, my aura is very weak and flimsy. I went to one of those aura readers once, and she just she read me, my aura, and when she saw how bad it was, she used her psychic powers to blast me around her room a bit, not even to intimidate me or to try to extort me for money or anything, just because she could, so that's something I gotta work on. Once again, doesn't mean it's not an important part of masculinity, but it's not one I'm familiar with. I guess that should be the takeaway for relating my own life experiences to this question. If this is an important part of masculinity, I wouldn't know how to access it. The third option is respecting others, which is in general probably the most healthy, realistic option from these choices, which means it's going to be the least entertaining to choose on a funny YouTube video format thing, so that one's getting crossed off the list. And your last option is being a menace online. Depends on what kind of menace you mean. There's people on Twitter that are menaces in a bad way, but I think I am active on many social media sites, unfortunately, and I guess I could be potentially a menace depending on how you want to categorize it. And I think that's a good vibe. Probably the closest vibe to me personally, my personal life, and I think I want to inflate my self-image, and so I'm going to say that because it's the most representative of myself, it therefore must be the most masculine, the most important, and so I'm going with being a menace online. Question 2 is pick a fictional guy. Option 1 is Garfield, which I don't know why every uquiz seems to whenever they see the option be ironic with Garfield, that's they always go for it. I don't know why, but also Garfield is not a guy. There's a very famous news article situation about that, so don't know how I feel about that one. Second option is Walter White. I see a lot of pro-trans Breaking Bad posts, and that's a good vibe, that's the positive, healthy masculinity we want to represent, Breaking Bad is a very healthy view of masculinity. Third option is Orb Wizard, which that photo in particular is a meme, but that's not a specific fictional character. And Orb Wizards, at least in the most general sense, are real. You can just be all wizardy and get an orb. I think I actually have an orb somewhere. I I'm a bit young yet to be wizardy, but one day this will be me, so that's not really... I don't think that should count as a fictional guy. Fourth option is Remy Ratatouille. He's from like a Disney movie, right? I don't really watch Disney, so I don't have any context for him, but his nose looks kind of like vaguely skin colored, and I don't like that. Last option is Megamind, which, you know, the movie had a nice, like, wholesome message, wholesome vibe, kind of interesting in a way, smart, which is a good model, but the problem with Megamind is that he has, like, a goatee thing at the bottom, so that's not a goatee. What is, like, a soul patch? Is that what you call it? Whatever it is, I can't in good conscience is the word, potentially. Whatever it is, I can't support that, so I'm gonna have to go with trans rights on this issue, which I probably would have anyways. You know. Question 3 is weekend plans. First option is hiking in a national park. I live in Canada, in the plains, what'd you call it? The wheatland. Is that a word, wheatlands? You know what I'm talking about. My point is, there's not really a whole lot of national parks near me. Like, there are, I know, some in Canada too, but there's not any that I could go to for a weekend unless I wanted to drive myself, and I don't, so there's that. Second option is skipping the line at an extremely exclusive nightclub, which, I mean, if they are exclusive, then they won't let me in. I think that's kind of like the minimum threshold, like the definition for being exclusive. Whether or not they let me in, any club I'm part of by definition is not exclusive. Third option is putting meats on the girl. Oh yeah, babe. That is weirdly sexual. The act of grilling, I think, as a whole, is weirdly sexual. And while I respect that for, like, other people's lives, it's not something I want to personally get involved with. I guess those both mean the same thing, but, you know, like, anything involving meat is just, like, a little too much for me in, like, that sort of context, you know? The fourth option is personal doom spiral, which is, like, almost a Nine Inch Nails reference, or potentially a Danny Brown reference if you're not a boomer, but, I mean, I guess that is true, actually, now that I think about it. That is kind of what is happening to me over the few days here, over the next little while. That seems to be what my life is going to be, so there's that. And the last option is taking over the tri-state area, which I'd like to do something like that in the future, potentially. But, I mean, isn't Doofenshmirtz divorced? Isn't that like a whole big plot thing? I mean, there's nothing wrong with that, but my point is, I'm not divorced yet. When I am, I'm gonna go that route full on. I support it. I like that whole idea. But as of right now, I'm just not there yet, you know? Like, that's gonna be my weekend plans in, like, 20 years, assuming I'm still alive. But yeah, I guess personal doom spiral is what's actually happening to me in real life, so yeah. Question 4 is, are you a picky eater? And the first option is, I'm not picky. I have taste, or yelling taste. I do not have the physical strength to yell. See question 1. And I mean, I am picky, but I think the idea behind this option is that you're trying to, like, reframe it as a good thing. The problem with that, though, however, is I objectively do not have taste. I like bad things in general, and so, you know. Second option is food is great, all of it, which, I mean, I think this question is supposed to have that kind of, like, joie de vivre, is that the fancy way of saying it, which I appreciate. But the problem with this, fundamentally, is that there's a lot of things out there that people consider food that they, like, morally shouldn't. And so if you want to, like, be pro all food, you're gonna end up agreeing to a lot of, like, really messed stuff. Like, you don't want to find yourself eating some weird fruit, or, like, fruit in general, or whatever, you know? Plants are terrifying. Don't keep that in. And here's a quick fun fact. Okay, third option is currently in my bagel and cream cheese era. And here's a fun fact. I got so intense deja vu from this question that I, like, stopped my recording. I had to check I haven't done this quiz already. I don't know if I've even ever gotten this question before, but, like, I am going to go through the rest of this quiz haunted with, like, the doubt of whether or not I'm re-recording a quiz already done. It's because of like how powerfully intense the bagel and cream cheese vibes were. On that note, I had a bagel and cream cheese a little while ago. Like I entered and exited that era like about a month ago. They're okay, honestly. Like maybe I just don't know how to prepare them at home, but they never turned out mind-blowing to me. Second last option is yeah, which is, I mean, objectively correct in describing me, but I wouldn't say it's like an interesting answer. Like there's not exactly a whole lot to riff off of here. And the last option is I'll eat whatever, which I mean, given the contrast to the whole option of food is great, all of it, I'm guessing this is like a Tarar kind of situation, Tarare, however you say his name, where you're just like eating things that are like morally questionable, you know, things that people were objectively not supposed to ever eat, like children or whatever. Which, I mean, to be fair, that is pretty funny, the idea of like eating a child or whatever, but it's not, I don't know how I am personally. Like I said before, I am, I guess, technically a picky eater, and so, you know, I'm going to have to go with the yeah answer, even though it is, all things considered, kind of boring. Question 5 is, what is your deadly sin? Okay, and they list them all here. I swear, I am haunted by the bagel and cream cheese. Like, I'm sure I've seen this before. Anyways, I don't want to go through them one by one, at least in part because I don't know what I'd say about, like, the 7 deadly sins in isolation as, like, a funny riff. But they do have one comment here. They added the whole phrase, like, happy pride to pride, the sin, referencing Pride Month. And I support that as a vibe, definitely. So we're just going to go with that, and we're going to move on with our live. Question 6 is describe your bestie. The first option is, you mean my mortal enemy? Which I think they're going for the whole, like, rival vibe, which is great, but I don't really live in like a children's show, so I don't think that really applies to my life. Also, I'm kind of just too passive in general for rivalries. Like, you can just win if you want to compete against me. I won't really like try all that hard to fight back, in not a weird way. Second option is, I'll try my best here, probably won't be that good. The second option is Mawa, and then there's a smiley face. I'm not good with impressions, I'm sure you could tell with that. You know, it's obligatory at this point. Like, it's one of those things, you don't even do a Borat impression anymore to be funny. It's just like, it's expected of you. Like, it's one of those things that like changes over time culturally, where it starts out as like a joke, and then what the joke is gets distorted until it just becomes like a social ritual. In real life, I don't have a wife, of course, so yeah, that's cool. The next option is my best friend is my pet, which I think they should have phrased it, my pet is my best friend. Putting it in this order seems to imply that like they got their best friend like locked up or something as like a human pet. Honestly, is kind of a vibe. Like, I wouldn't mind necessarily being that role for someone else, as long as I'm getting like fed and bathroomed and entertainment. Those are really the only 3 things I need in my life. But that being said, like, this isn't asking like how you want to be someone else's best friend. This is how you want your best friend to be, or at least how they are. And I'm not a human pet guy, you know, like the guy from Tumblr. This unfortunately isn't really going to meet me. The fourth option is I would kill for them, die for them. I mean, dying would be pretty cool, you know, that's like the edgy general joke you gotta go for whenever someone mentions dying. You gotta be like, oh, I'd die. But yeah, I think, how would killing for your best friend work? Like, either you're gonna be in a situation in which killing was morally correct, in which case, like, it was just something you had to do anyways, or if you're in a situation where killing for your best friend is morally wrong, like, how are they gonna react to that? If they just find out you just killed someone for them for no reason, that would be, I don't know how your friendship would react to that. I guess it depends on who you're friends with, but, you know, that's a factor to keep in mind. The last option is I'm my own best friend, self-love, and I think I try to find a theme for each video normally with a uquiz, but I think we've also had like a theme going on in general with our last few uquizzes of like self-love, self-narcissism, that's just what what is wrong with me? Self-love, narcissism, whatever you want to call it. That's been our theme with this video series, and so that's what we'll go with here. If my mouse will click, I don't know what happened there. Alright, and question 7 is a video game. First option is Minecraft, which I do play it a bit. I play it a fair bit with my little cousin, but on my own I only play it once every few months. It's one of those kind of games to me. I think part of the problem with it is that I'm in general a coward, and so I only do everything in a very slow system, and also I don't ever take risks to learn anything or get anything done quick, and so I just out of cowardice end up slowing the game down for myself to the point where it's not enjoyable anymore. Which, now that I think about it, might be a good representation for my life in general. Second option is I don't game, which, I mean, you can check my channel. I think that's pretty accurate to me as a person, you know? Maybe I should just pick this and be done with the whole quiz. I don't know. The third option is Grand Theft Auto 5. They gave it for free on Epic a little while ago. I'm pretty sure Epic Games, and so I have it, but I've never gotten a chance to play it. I've watched, mainly Call Me Kevin play it, not me myself personally, so it would feel a little disingenuous to pick it as something I've only experienced vicariously. Is that the right word? Fourth option is Subnautica, which I have once again only experienced vicariously through a different YouTuber, Markiplier. I think I have played it a little bit on my own, but not enough to know what I'm talking about when I talk about it as a game, and also I haven't watched Markiplier's even playthrough in such a long time, so yeah, my frame of reference for that is mostly gone now. Fifth option is Stardew Valley, which, as I understand it, is a recreation based off of Harvest Moon, which I also haven't played, and so I flat out have no point of reference for this game. I had some friends play it in school, but I really have just no idea what it is or what it's like by myself, so that's good for commentary section here. The last option is The Sims, but to be honest, I hate kind of jumping out on these, but it really is the same situation where I have no personal point of reference for this game here. The best reference I have is that Germa video experiment idea thing you did, which was kind of cool to be fair, but I guess I have to go full cliche gamer here and go with Minecraft since it's what I know best. Question 8 is, could I take you home to meet my parents? Yes or no? And I mean, objectively you could, but I guess the question important to ask would be, what do you hope to gain from me meeting your parents? It depends on the situation whether or not we were dating or not. I guess the realistic one would we wouldn't be dating, just be a sitcom situation scenario, in which case I am almost guaranteed to get you in more trouble than you would have already been in normally. I just kind of have negative quality as a person, and so you put me in a situation like that, I'm going to decrease the value of you as a person capable of making choices in the eyes of your parents. Which, I mean, maybe that's what you're going, but probably not. But I mean, could you take me home to meet your parents? I suppose. Question 9 is invent a new type of guy, and we're gonna go with guy. I guess that's a key first part, isn't it? Invent a new type of guy. They gotta be a guy who only, I gotta go with something stupid here. Eat cauliflower. You know what? Let's just end it there. Let's just punch that in. Let's see how it goes. I don't understand how these kinds of questions can impact your result. Maybe they're just there for set the tone to get you prepped for the next question. Question 10 is save a franchise. The rest will never produce content again. And my bagel deja vu is hitting me once again, but at this point I think I might just end up releasing this video even if it is a repetition. I think that'd be kind of interesting maybe anyways as a comparative thing. I mean, I'm just justifying being lazy here, but what are you gonna do about it? Question 10 is save a franchise. The rest will never produce content again. And the first option is Barbie, which I have I don't have a sister. I've never had a sister. I don't know why you think I have a sister. I don't know why I said it like that. So I have no frame of reference for Barbie whatsoever. So I don't have any reason, any attachment to it. So this is losing it would be fine to me just just because I don't have any reason to like care, you know? Also, I mean, I'm sure we've all seen that Curtis Connor video. He says pretty definitively that brats are better, so I guess I don't want to pick a fight with someone who knows more than me on this kind of thing, so I'm just gonna trust his judgment. The second option is Star Wars, but I like the originals. I like the prequels for like meme purposes, but at this point they are kind of just a little oversaturated, along with like, you know, Marvel, that kind of thing. I can see Marvel peeking out from the corner there. I think we can kind of, at this point, cross two birds off with one stone and just put down like a blanket anti-Marvel Disney. I guess they're both owned by Disney now. That'd be the right term, right? Put down a blanket anti-Disney statement here. Third option is Pokemon, which is also kind of like oversaturated, but to be honest, as you can tell by my Pokemon series, I do kind of have a soft spot for it. It was my childhood. But that being said, I guess Star Wars, and to a lesser extent Marvel, was also my childhood, and neither one seemed to have lasted the ravages of time to me, so I don't know what's up with that. Pokemon's still fun. Star Trek, I've never had any like real experience with Star Trek. Like, I've seen it a fair bit by now, a little bit by now, I should say, and all that, but I don't really, when I was in like the time of my life where I really was like prone to imprinting on that kind of stuff, I never got any like major amount of Star Wars, Star Trek, Star whatever content to imprint on me, and so it just never really did much for me. The last option is League of Legends, which if you unironically pick this question, I think your computer should just like blow up, is probably how they program these quizzes. They would if they were moral. So I'm gonna go, maybe this is like, I was gonna say maybe this is a normie route, but I think Marvel's the normie route here. I mean, to be fair, they're both pretty mainstream, but I'm gonna go with Pokemon just because, like, I gotta rep my own series, right? You gotta, like, cross-promote. That's a big thing. Second last option is question 11. I am an idiot of the highest order. Question 11 is, how do you feel about parenthood? And the first option is, I think I'd like to be a parent someday, break that cycle of trauma. If I was a parent, I would not be breaking the cycle of trauma at all. Like, I would be passing on generational horrors to my child, most definitely. I think, you know, like, you need to keep tradition alive, you need to keep your family heirlooms active, and so I think it's important to, you know, horribly warp the psyche of your children. It's an act of self-expression, really, if you think about it. The second option is children are a plague, which, while definitely metaphorically true, I think may come across as a bit of like an over-exaggeration in the modern era. I think it'd be better if it was just like, children are mildly unpleasant to be around. I think that's a generally true statement. Third option is not for me personally, which I mean is along the same vibes as the previous options. I think this is like a little too mellow of a wording, because the wording is really what's different among these three options. This is like how you say it when you want to be like gentle. When you're at someone else's house and they like have kids and you want to kill their kids, but you don't want to like be rude to your host. This is just like how you would say it, how you would talk about it, you know? And you just like leave it understood that you detest children. And the last option is raising children is an honor and a joy, which I mean, neither of those things can be true, right? So we're gonna go, I think the appropriately toned answer is the children of the plague answer. And we go on our last question, what is your favorite type of God? The first option is positive and kind, which is, I think, a little too, like, overkill. Like, I understand the desire for, like, positive vibes, but I think you're kind of, like, laying it on a bit thick with that kind of requirements, you know? Second option is pathetic and sopping wet, which as, like, a fantasy, as an instantaneous image, is definitely appealing, but problem is, like, how are you gonna handle them being, like, constantly sopping wet? Like, surely after a little while that would get kind of hard to deal with. Like, you would have to, like, lay down towels everywhere they go. Which, I mean, I guess that is how you gotta handle it with some guys, but I don't know if it's something I'd want to be, like, leaning into. Third option is curious and mischievous, which sounds more like a glamorized version of a pet monkey than, like, a romantic partner. Which, I mean, on one hand, I kind of get it, I kind of respect it, but that is a bit, odd, maybe. The second last option is hot and sexy, which I think isn't that redundant as my understanding of the words are. Like, shouldn't those mean the same thing in practical common usage? Also, based on dynamics as I understand them, shouldn't this theoretically be the same like as the second option, the pathetic and sopping wet? I don't know, maybe this is like supposed to be more open-ended for whatever you like, whatever like archetype you're into. At that point, you should just pick that archetype, right? Like, if you're offering all the other archetypes, you can just pick which one appeals to you instead of having like a whatever appeals to you category. And the last option is messed up and evil, which I think is kind of just the default setting. Oh, what do we pick here? I think we're gonna go with curious and mischievous just because it's in the middle. I don't know, I don't feel like justifying myself to you. I have to explain every single move I make to you people. Maybe I just want to pick a choice, spur of the whim. And our result is Gorgeous Boy. Being pretty is a personality trait / competition, and you're winning, which I very much appreciate as a result. This also helps alleviate my deja vu, because I don't remember this at all. I don't remember any of these potential results at all. To be fair, they all kind of rock. Like, this is probably the most confidence boosting result for me, but like, this is probably the most impressive solid list of options that I've ever seen for like results on one of these. Like, shout out to Bulbasaur or whatever their username was. Like, this is what results should look like. I'm not even too mad that we got the second highest option here. As always, 5 stars. Vroom vroom, that's my outro.